Every time you lose control, you are not expressing yourself. You are teaching people how to control you next time. That is the part most men do not want to hear. They think anger is honesty. They think over-explaining is clarity. They think panic is urgency. They think emotional reaction proves they care. No, often it proves one thing only. You have a button, and now someone knows where it is. Before we go deeper, understand this clearly. In business, they call it emotional intelligence. Harvard Business School. Online has noted that emotionally intelligent people are more likely to stay calm under pressure and resolve conflict effectively. That sounds clean, that sounds corporate. But in the real world of power, this is not just emotional intelligence. It is counterintelligence. The man who stays calm under pressure protects judgment, authority, and trust. The man who reacts poorly gives the room a map. And once the room has a map, it does not need to overpower him. It only needs to provoke him correctly. Harvard Business School. Working Knowledge has also discussed the Stockdale paradox, made famous by Jim Collins. Admiral James Stockdale survived extreme pressure, not by pretending reality was soft, and not by collapsing into despair. His strength was the ability to confront brutal reality while preserving disciplined faith that he would prevail. That is emotional command, not comfort, not fantasy, command. So the question is not, do you feel pressure? Of course you do. The question is this: when pressure touches you, does it reveal a commander, or does it reveal a target? Because someone is always watching. Not always with hatred, not always with a plan, not always with conscious manipulation. But people study reactions. They learn what embarrasses you. They learn what makes you explain. They learn what makes you chase approval. They learn what makes you angry. They learn what makes you desperate. They learn what makes you talk more than necessary. And once they know the trigger, they do not need strength to move you. They only need timing. Most men think conflict is about the words being said. It is not. The words are often bait. The real game is information. When someone mocks your ambition and you instantly defend it, they learn ambition is your wound. When someone questions your work ethic and you start explaining everything you are doing, they learn reputation is your weakness. When someone disrespects you and you explode, they learn pride is the gate. When someone ignores you and you chase, they learn attention is your leash. This is why reaction is dangerous. Your reaction is a map. Anger shows where pride lives. Over-explaining shows where insecurity lives. Panic shows what you fear losing. Jealousy shows what you secretly compare. Defensiveness shows where your identity is still unproven. And once a person sees the pattern, they no longer need to guess. They only need to repeat the stimulus. That is the cold mechanism. People repeat what moves you. If anger moves you, they use anger. If shame moves you, they use shame. If silence moves you, they use silence. If approval moves you, they use approval. If disrespect moves you, they use disrespect. Your triggers become handles, and people pull handles. That is why emotional reaction is not just a personal weakness. It is a security risk. You lose more than your temper. You lose strategic privacy. You lose negotiating power. You lose respect. You lose mystery. You lose leverage. You lose the ability to choose your response before someone else chooses it for you. And for the unsupported man, this is especially dangerous, because the unsupported man has often spent years being doubted. He has been questioned, dismissed, mocked, ignored, told to be realistic, told his dream is too much, told he is not ready, told he should wait. So he develops a hunger to prove. That hunger can build him. But if ungoverned, that hunger becomes bait. One person says, "You will never do it." And suddenly he wastes 10 minutes defending a life he has not built yet. Another person says, "You are not disciplined." And suddenly he starts listing his routine, his sacrifices, his plans, his private work, his pain, his sleepless nights, trying to prove he is serious. Another person laughs at the mission, and he talks too much, shows too much, reveals too much, explains too much. Now they know. He does not own himself yet. He can still be pulled by doubt. He can still be moved by mockery. He can still be controlled by the need to be seen as serious before his results make it obvious. This is where ambitious men lose power without noticing. They think they are defending the mission. They are not. They are defending the image of being a man with a mission. That is not the same thing. A mission needs execution. An insecure identity needs witnesses. If you are the kind of man who is building without applause, stop mistaking emotional defense for progress. You already know you were not born to beg for permission, but your real problem is that old doubt still makes you explain yourself to people who have no authority over your future. If you keep turning every insult into a courtroom, you will waste your energy proving instead of building. Inside Patreon, you get deeper, unfiltered lessons on power, discipline, emotional control, and self-command, so you can become harder to provoke, harder to read, and harder to rule. This is not for men looking for comfort. It is for men who are done being moved by weak people with loud opinions. The decision is yours. Now understand the bait pattern. First, someone touches a wound. They question your ambition. They question your status. They question your discipline. They question your intelligence. They question your future. Then you react. You defend. You explain. You raise your voice. You post something emotional. You send a long message. You try to correct the image they have of you. And in that moment, you think you are winning because you are speaking. But strategically, you are losing because you are revealing. You reveal what still owns you. You reveal what can still move you. You reveal where your identity is not yet built on proof. A man who is truly becoming undeniable does not need every doubter to understand the process. He does not need every critic to respect the work before the work becomes visible. He does not need every small mind to approve the size of his ambition. He knows that proof has a language louder than explanation. But the reactive man cannot wait for proof. He wants immediate relief. He wants to say something now. He wants to correct the disrespect now. He wants to show them they were wrong now. And that need for immediate relief is the trap. A triggered man moves quickly because he wants emotional release. A strategic man moves slowly because he wants advantage. Relief and advantage are not the same thing. Relief says, "I need to get this feeling out." Advantage says, "What response increases my power?" Most men choose relief. Then they call it honesty. No, it was leakage. You must learn to hold pressure without immediately releasing it. Because pressure is not only a test of emotion. Pressure is a test of ownership. When someone insults you, the first question is not, "How do I destroy him?" The first question is, what is he trying to learn? Is he testing your pride? Is he testing your insecurity? Is he testing your need for approval? Is he testing your fear of being ignored? Is he testing whether you will abandon your mission to defend your image? Once you see the test, you no longer need to take the bait. You can observe the person observing you. That is higher ground. That is where power begins. Look at Nelson Mandela. When he became president of South Africa, he invited some former prison warders to his inauguration celebrations. UPI reported that Mandela said he invited 3 white warders with whom he had become friends to attend the inauguration celebrations. Understand what that means. After decades in prison, he had every emotional reason to make bitterness the center of the moment. He could have used the stage to display resentment. He could have fed the crowd a performance of revenge. He could have made the wound louder than the mission. But he did not. He chose a response that projected command, reconciliation, and authority. That was not weakness. That was controlled symbolism. That was a man refusing to let pain write the meaning of the event. His proof was not a speech about self-control. His proof was the response itself. The power lesson is cold. The man who controls his reaction controls the meaning of the event. If Mandela had reacted from personal bitterness in that public moment, the story would have become smaller. It would have become about injury, resentment, and personal release. By controlling the response, he made the moment larger than the wound. That is power. Not because you never feel provoked. Not because you pretend nothing happened. Not because you become emotionless. That is childish. A controlled man still feels. He simply refuses to make every feeling public information. There is a difference between emotional suppression and emotional command. Emotional suppression says, nothing happened. Emotional command says, something happened, and I will decide what it means before I decide what I do. Suppression hides from reality. Command studies reality. Suppression is fear wearing a mask. Command is discipline holding the steering wheel. This is why you must stop asking weak questions when you are triggered. Most men ask, what should I say back? Wrong question. That question already assumes you must answer. It already assumes the other person deserves access to your energy. It already assumes the provocation is important because it made you feel something. The stronger question is this: what will my response reveal? Before you answer, run a security check. Does this deserve my energy? Does this affect my mission? Will responding increase or decrease my power? Question 1. Does this deserve my energy? Most things do not. A random insult does not deserve a speech. A jealous comment does not deserve a defense. A small mind questioning your mission does not deserve access to your blueprint. If the person has no authority over your work, no contribution to your future, and no ability to judge your path accurately, why are you spending emotional capital on them? Energy is not infinite. Attention is not infinite. Self-control is not infinite. You must spend it where it protects or advances the mission. Every unnecessary reaction is a tax. A tax on focus. A tax on time. A tax on emotional stability. A tax on the version of you that should be building instead of explaining. Question 2. Does this affect my mission? This question kills many useless reactions. Someone doubts you. Does it affect the mission? Someone misunderstands you. Does it affect the mission? Someone mocks the work before the proof exists. Does it affect the mission? Usually, no. Your mission is affected by your discipline, your skill, your proof, your offer, your money behavior, your health, your reputation, your delivery, your network, your ability to stay consistent when nobody claps. Not every opinion, not every comment, not every emotional jab. If the event does not affect the mission, responding may only feed the ego. And ego is expensive. Ego wants the last word. Power wants the better position. Ego wants them to know. Power wants results to speak so clearly that explanation becomes unnecessary. Question 3. Will responding increase or decrease my power? This is the final filter. Sometimes response is necessary. Sometimes silence would create confusion. Sometimes a boundary must be set. Sometimes a correction must be made. Sometimes a decision must be communicated. But even then, the response must be controlled, not explosive, not desperate, not overlong, not theatrical. Ask the question: will this response increase clarity, respect, boundaries, trust, and control? or will it reveal insecurity, anger, need, and instability? If responding decreases your power, do not respond yet. Delay. Write it, but do not send it. Walk away. Return later. Speak shorter. Speak colder. Speak only to the useful point. The most powerful response is often not the loudest one. It is the one that leaves the least unnecessary information behind. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." That line matters here, because most people do not know your full discipline. They do not know the battles you fight in silence. They do not know what you are building when nobody is watching. They do not know the pressure you carry. They only see what leaks out under pressure. So if what leaks out is anger, they call you unstable. If what leaks out is need, they call you desperate. If what leaks out is over-explaining, they sense insecurity. If what leaks out is panic, they assume you can be cornered. You may have depth, you may have ambition, you may have a real mission. But if your reaction makes you look easy to move, people will treat you as movable. This is why perception matters. Not because you should live for appearances, but because power is partly protected by what you refuse to reveal. Stop donating your inner state to people who have not earned access. Stop letting a careless comment become a full confession. Stop turning every wound into a public report. Stop rewarding provocation with information. For the next 7 days, practice this doctrine. When you feel triggered, do 3 things. First, name the trigger silently. This touched my pride. This touched my fear. This touched my insecurity. This touched my need for respect. This touched my fear of being ignored. Do not judge it. Name it. Naming the trigger separates you from the trigger. A man who cannot name what is moving him will be moved by it. Second, delay the response. No instant message. No emotional post. No defensive speech. No long explanation. No performance of strength. Give your intelligence time to return. When you are triggered, your body wants speed. Reply now. Defend now. Correct now. Attack now. Explain now. But speed is exactly what the bait wants. Delay breaks the spell. Delay turns impulse into observation. Delay gives you back the space where choice lives. Third, run the filter. Does this deserve my energy? Does this affect my mission? Will responding increase or decrease my power? If it fails the filter, leave it. If it passes, respond with precision. Short, clear, controlled. No begging. No over-explaining. No emotional theater. No need to prove that you are powerful. Power does not beg to be believed. It becomes obvious. If you are a man who is tired of being studied, provoked, and dragged into emotional battles that steal your future, stop calling reaction progress. You already know discipline matters, but your real problem is that your nervous system is still available to people who contribute nothing to your mission. If you keep giving them your anger, your explanations, and your panic, you will keep giving them control. Inside Patreon, you get unfiltered, deeper training on power, emotional discipline, masculine self-command, and strategic thinking, so you can stop being readable and start becoming dangerous in silence. This is not for men who want motivation. It is for men who are ready to stop leaking power. The decision is yours. Now understand the identity shift. The old identity says, I must react so they know I am not weak. The new identity says, I do not need to prove strength through emotional leakage. The old identity says, if I do not respond, I lose. The new identity says, if I respond badly, I give away the map. The old identity says, they disrespected me, so I must explode. The new identity says, respect built on proof does not need constant defense. The old identity says, I need them to understand me. The new identity says, my mission does not require their comprehension. This is the shift. You stop treating every provocation as a trial. You stop turning every comment into a courtroom. You stop offering your nervous system to people who have not earned access. You become harder to read, harder to move, harder to bait, harder to control, not cold in the childish sense, not dead inside, not afraid to speak, controlled. A controlled man can still be warm. He can still confront. He can still set boundaries. He can still say no. He can still walk away. He can still correct what needs correction. But he does not hand over the steering wheel to the first person who touches his pride. He does not abandon the mission to defend the image. He does not make his wounds convenient for spectators. This is practical psychology. Triggers are learned pathways. Someone touches a belief, a wound, a fear, or a desire, and the body prepares a response. But awareness creates space. Delay increases choice. Choice restores command. And command protects power. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, do not ask, how do I prove them wrong? Ask, what are they trying to learn about me? Are they testing my insecurity? Are they testing my pride? Are they testing my need for approval? Are they testing my fear of disrespect? Are they testing whether I will abandon the mission to defend my image? Once you see the test, you no longer need to take the bait. You can observe the person observing you. That is higher ground. Your anger may feel powerful in the moment, but if it makes you predictable, it is weakness. Your explanation may feel necessary in the moment, but if it reveals insecurity, it is leakage. Your panic may feel urgent in the moment, but if it makes you controllable, it is a liability. The man who cannot be triggered cannot be easily ruled. Not because he feels nothing, because he observes first. He delays, he chooses, he responds only when response increases power. That is the doctrine. Stop reacting. They are studying your weakness. Subscribe to the channel.